What's up, surf fans? We're back here for another episode of the Ski Bum Surf Guide. Today we're talking about our first location in the surf guide. It's going to be El Zonte, El Salvador. We've been here about 2 weeks, and I'm excited to go through what we've learned with you. So let's get started. First off, El Zonte is a little town, also known as Bitcoin Beach, about 30 to 45 minutes away from the airport, depending on traffic, in La Libertad. Technically, I don't think it's in La Libertad. I think it's technically right outside of La Libertad. El Zonte is what we call a swell magnet. It picks up every little thing due to an offshore canyon that's the waves pass through before they hit the beach. It's not the most user-friendly point break. It closes out a lot, especially in the high season. It has a reputation for always breaking. There's an area of the beach called Olas Permanentes, which in Spanish stands for permanent waves. And it's a very wave-rich area, but the area can also be a little bit frustrating. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the nuances of the surf first, and then we're going to go through a couple of the things that we like and dislike about the town. And yeah, hopefully by the end of this little short video, you're going to have a little bit better understanding of El Zonte, El Salvador, and what to expect, and decide if you want to come here or not based on the information given. So first off, we'll start with a little Google screencast action. And what we're going to be doing is looking at El Zonte, El Salvador right now. So we've pulled up the town here, and you see first we have Cueva Playa El Zonte, and we have Cueva El Zonte, which is the caves on the far side of the beach. That's the west side of the beach. If you notice, the beach is oriented east to west and not north to south. If we click the north to south, we shall see that the beach is actually oriented, yes, east to west. So I feel like it's easier to look at like this, so we're going to go ahead and move it back. There it is from afar. You can see the waves breaking. In town here, we have about 3 different areas to surf. The first is going to be El Zonte proper, which here's the bay, here's the black sand beach, here's the town, right? And then we've got the point break, the well-known point break. As you can see, the waves are passing over all this whitewater and closing out on the beach here, and that's pretty common. I've really only seen a few days here in high season where the wave wasn't slamming on the inside, especially after the tide's about 2 hours in. And so it's one of those rare places that it's easier to get out than get in, because you're gonna have to dodge these sets coming in here every time you come in, and they can be steep and powerful, kind of like a margs. There's a bunch of rocks in here. There's a sand channel, and there's a lot of current, and so it's really hard once you get into the channel to not get sucked down towards the rocks on the other end of the beach. So you got to play it smart and get in front of the white water, but also not get in front of the wrong one, because you will get slammed and make it into the beach. Okay, so we've got the outside area here, which is the main point break, and it's a right-hander. And then we've got this area over here, which is known as Olas Permanentes, which has a hostel of the same name right here. And then we have a little beginner beach break zone that isn't really a right or a left, it's pretty much a straight. Yeah, it's a beginner wave. I've seen some foamies going over there at low tide and riding the whitewater, but only on smaller days. This area can be huge. This entire section here can just be a big closeout that slams, or it can be a peaky left right here at Olas Permanentes, or another bowling walled up right that breaks into the river mouth section and ends up usually breaking on the rocks. It's very rare to see one break through here and all the way into here, and it's even more rare that it doesn't close out when it reaches this section. I would call this wave a more of a intermediate to advanced wave. I'd say it's not very beginner friendly. It's the kind of place where you're gonna have to dodge the sets because it comes off of a deep water canyon out here that you can't really see on the map, but if you look, you can see that there's a canyon that funnels into the break, which means when the waves come in into the bay here, they're gonna really slam. And if you take the wrong wave and you end up in this area, you're gonna have to take some on the head. And just in general, El Zonte is the kind of place where you're gonna have to take some on the head. And because of that, it's not as beginner friendly. When I come to point breaks, I generally don't come looking for a mostly on shore, mostly closed out point break. It's not exactly my cup of tea. That being said, we've been here about 2 weeks and I've had probably 4 or 5 okay sessions that I would consider okay. Also, the time we were here kind of coincided with a really huge swell. I don't know if any of you watched the Surf City Pro 2024, but they had huge waves at Punta Roca, and Punta Roca is generally a 3 to 4 foot smaller than everything else around here. So you can imagine that El Zonte is pretty closed out. Even now that the swell has gone down, there's two swells in the water right now, and both of them are pretty close to like 1 meter or 3 foot at about 13 seconds, which isn't a very huge swell for Central America. But El Zonte can't, even that El Zonte isn't handling very well. It seems like any kind of combo swell doesn't really do too well here. With that being said, an experienced surfer can always paddle out and pick one off if you're willing to take enough of a beat down. I just don't really consider that fun. So I do it a little bit, but I'm definitely, at this point after 2 weeks here, I'm definitely over it, and I'm ready to head on to our next spot, which is El Sonzo. And there's a channel in El Sonzo. It's a lot different, a lot more user-friendly. So yeah, that's where we'll be heading next. The next thing I want to talk about is El Zonte town. The town is a pretty small area, and we're gonna shoot some more screencast action here. Okay, so right here you've got a map of the town. You can see the main road coming by, the coastal road. Our apartment is about right here, and we're about a 5-minute walk down into the little town area, and we're about 400 feet up. So we have to walk down to the beach, and we have to walk back up to the house. There's lots of little restaurants in town, hotels, places to stay. Where we're staying is an Airbnb. I'll post a link to the Airbnb so you can see what it looks like, what the cost is. It's a great little spot. It has AC. There's 2 restaurants in town that we really tend to enjoy. And the first of those is going to be a pupusaaaasss, which is right by the main drag, and it's called Rinconcito. It's run by 2 little nice old ladies who make home cooking, and here it is. You can see once again on Google. And so we've got El Rinconcito, and they make delicious pupusas. They're about $1.25 a pop. You can get 4 for $5, and that's enough to keep you fed for a whole day. That means you can eat like for $5 a day here. You can live for $5 a day. If you're low on money, if you're running on a budget, if you're on college break and trying to scrape up the biggest surf trip you can, then El Zonte is a great place. El Salvadore in general is very cheap. Food is very cheap. The accommodation is very cheap. So it's a good place to come. Our second favorite restaurant is a little bit more expensive, and it's called AWILDA. And AWILDA is run by a guy named Rama, who is a really nice guy, and they have all kinds of really delicious, healthy food. Our favorite was the pretzel burgers and the chicken bowls. The chicken bowls come with white rice or quinoa. They come with a bunch of vegetables, a choice of sauce. Everything's really clean, really well cooked. Nothing has made us sick. A lot of times we're really careful about eating vegetables in foreign countries because we've learned to treat fresh produce with trepidation, because sometimes in some places, Mexico, Dominican Republic, you can get dirty vegetables and they can make you very sick. Doesn't seem to be the case here. Everyone, even the locals, uses clean water to wash everything. They don't trust the water. They don't drink the water, just like us. Don't drink the water, you'll get sick. Always drink, filtered, UV, purified water in Central America. Highly recommend it. Even in places like Costa Rica, where you're gonna go and you're gonna be told by people that you can drink the tap water, and maybe in a lot of places like Costa Rica, you can get away with it, but that first time you get food poisoning for 5 days and you miss waves and you lie in your room shaking for days on end, you're gonna thank me. Just drink bottled water, okay? So I hope you've enjoyed our little tour of El Zonte, El Salvador. It's a cool little place to stay. I think it would be a great place to stay during dry season, unlike most of El Salvador, which really the spots need a lot of swell, but this spot doesn't seem like it needs so much swell. And yeah, I think you could enjoy a surf trip here in like December or January and really have a pretty good time if you're an intermediate, or even maybe a beginner, depending on what you're into, if you want a short board or if you want a long board. It's hard to beat El Sunzel for a beginner. It's a very approachable wave. So I hope you enjoyed this video on El Zonte, El Salvador. Feel free to give us a like and subscribe if you are interested in more in-depth surf guides. A little more substance than what you're seeing from some other creators, a little more in-depth, talking about swell period and the nuances of surfing that a lot of people don't talk about, that they let you figure out for yourself. Yeah, hope everyone's having a good day. Look forward to talking to you guys more about surfing.